Coming up February 1st on the Whimsy Farm podcast, I speak with Carol Menaker, author of the memoir, The Worst Thing We've Ever Done, One Juror's Reckoning with Racial Injustice.
In 1976, I lived in Philadelphia with my fairly new husband in a little townhouse. They called them Father, Son, Holy Ghost houses because there were three floors in the houses. An old Irish neighborhood. I love that place. I still dream about it. And I was 24 years old and just like, full of all the hope of a young woman who's 24 years old. Right out of college, just got married, had a good job or a job that I liked that looked like it had a future. And lo and behold, one day I got a jury summons and I didn't think a whole lot about it. I'd only lived in Philadelphia for a couple of years. And so I scheduled my day to go there. I figured I'd go in, I'd go out, I'd go home. That is not what happened. I was selected for a jury in a murder trial of Frederick Burton, who was charged with the murder of two wardens inside the Holmesburg prison in Philadelphia. But I do know at some point in the prison, he changed his name from Frederick to Muhammad, and he took on the faith of Islam. And the day of the crime, Muhammad and another inmate named Joseph Bowen were admitted to the warden's office to ask for more time in the prayer room. And this is where the narrative splits in half. What I heard the judge say was that if Muhammad was in the room, then he was guilty of that crime of murdering the two wardens, even if he didn't actually kill one of them. Somewhere along the line, I got this sort of bee in my bonnet that I wanted to know what actually happened, since there still in my mind was reasonable doubt. I hadn't heard anything about Muhammad until that time. I didn't know if he was still alive. I didn't know if he was in prison. I didn't know anything at all about it. But something inside me said, why don't you just see what you can find out? At that point, I thought he was a pawn. He was sort of like, sadly, the immigrants that are being rounded up now. He was of a certain class and a certain culture, and it didn't matter. They just did this sweep and they picked up these five men, and that was the end of it, conversation over. And so I really felt deeply that there had been, a miscarriage of justice, such as it is. And knowing that I was part of it was really disturbing. I told him because the judge's instructions were very clear to me. And what he said to me was, well, the judge made a mistake. They have something called a time bar, which means you have a limited amount of time to bring new evidence to the courts about your case. And essentially, after, I think it was 6 days of listening to this, the judge went away, and a long period of time afterwards, it might have been a year or 18 months later, her ruling came down. And essentially, she said, his evidence was time barred. There is no merit to his case. And the writing of my book turns out to, for me, come to terms with who I was, with how people can have racial bias without knowing it, with how the criminal justice system has significant flaws and failures in it, that when you participate in it, if you end up participating in it as a victim, as someone who's charged with a crime, as a jury member, you need to really understand the context of what you're dealing with, because it's all about the law. It's at the bottom of a lot of lists because other things have taken precedence over it. But it shouldn't disappear. And prison reform, judicial reform really need to be attended to and moved up on the list. And so I'm grateful to everyone who's read and everyone who's corresponded with me. And I'm mostly grateful to Mohammed for being my friend and helping me have hope for things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise had.
Episode 20 of the Whimsy Farm podcast streams February 1st on my YouTube channel, Carolyn Crane and Whimsy Farm, on my website, whimsyfarm.net, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
whimsyfarms.net